All right, hi Founder fans, Jason here. Welcome to Friday Night Trivia. Getting started. I know people are just rolling in. I guess I'll fix my collar and then make a few announcements. I have started putting out weekly. Anyone who's signed in, by the way, let me know you're here. Once a few people show up, we'll start playing. I want to make sure I know who to look for when I ask the trivia questions. I have started putting out a weekly schedule. You will see them come up on Monday, although somehow the video I recorded with Michael Troy did not go out on Monday. I'm sorry, on Wednesday. So I'll set that back up for next week. There's the email coming through to me letting me know I'm live. So that means many of you are only just getting the announcements. So we'll take a second, wait for people to pop in until we really get going here. Got a lot of fun stuff today. We are going to focus on the Declaration of Independence and the American flag, though we are going to do a little run of Continental Congress presidents, the pre-Washington presidents. So that'll be a lot of fun. Again, anyone popping in, let me know you're here. I am just found out on my phone that I am live, so I'm assuming you are just finding out as well. Again, we're starting to do these at 8:30. And instead of 8:15, seems to be more convenient for many people. Hoping that my computer freezing here is not actually happening. I keep having, it says it's excellent connection. I keep having problems with YouTube. Don't know why. It's the only place that gives me any trouble. Anyone popping in, let me know if you are here and we can start playing. We're going to have some fun. I will stall a little bit. I will also remind you there is a Discord link in the description if you want to join the conversation over there. No data. Why would there be no data? Okay, well, whatever. There is a conversation on the Discord link down there. It's a lot of fun. I've been posting there pretty frequently. We have a fun memes page. Additionally, coming up next week, hi Troy, thank you for coming. Happy weekend. I'm just reminding everyone that next week, I believe Saturday, tentatively, when I put out my schedule on Monday, I'll know for sure. I believe Saturday, we're going to do the Founding Fathers Fantasy Draft Rankings. It's an annual thing I've been doing over here, and it's a ton of fun. So look forward to that. Additionally, Troy, we're just kind of holding on, seeing anyone else who pops in. This is my usual stalling at the beginning to give everyone a few seconds to come on in. Once you receive the notification, I realize I go live and then about a minute later I get notified on my phone that I'm live. So you guys probably fall in the same category. Excuse me, Troy, I don't know if you got my email back today, but we're yes, the American founders were very well educated. That probably because they just could sit around playing games all day. I mean, I'm sorry, reading books all day, because there were no games to play back in the American Revolution. Unlike here, where we're playing high gray wheels, everyone's starting to roll in now. So everyone, let me know you're here as you pop in. We're just about to get going, giving you all a second to show up. Just reminding Troy, who was the first one to show up, that we are having next week. I'm going to say Saturday. Let's go with next Saturday. I'm going to have my Founding Fathers Fantasy Draft Rankings, which is an annual thing. It's a lot of fun. Could I give you extra time, though? I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, Cookie, but I will do my best. Let's see. Why don't we start asking some questions? There's some people here playing. We're starting off with some Declaration of Independence questions. And of course, YouTube tells me it's giving me some trouble. Might as well read the books. Yeah, exactly. All right. Hopefully, we're not having too much trouble because YouTube seems to hate trivia the last few weeks. I'm not sure why. Keep stalling out on us. But let's see. We are coming down here to our trivia page. And question numero uno. Representatives from how many colonies signed the Declaration of Independence? How many colonies had at least one person sign the Declaration of Independence? Now, I am about 4 seconds ahead of you guys, so that's a little bit of stalling I have to do. Cookie, hopefully I can give you enough time. Although, like I said, I'm already stalling here. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Anyone just popping in, let us know you're here. See if you can answer. This is the first question of the game. You haven't missed much. Representatives from how many colonies signed the Declaration of Independence? Okay, and I'm a little more than 4 seconds ahead of you, it turns out, because it did slow down there. Oh, Mr. Galloway, welcome. Hi, Xavier. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I see some answers coming in. I'm not sure how far ahead I might be compared to some of you. And I see some very interesting answers popping out. I see Jeremy with 12 and Troy with 12, and Cookie with 13, Xavier with 4. So we're going to pop up the correct answer right about here, and it is 13. Yeah, 13 colonies, 13 signed the Declaration of Independence. Now, that being said, good job, Cookie. That being said, Troy and Jeremy, I know why you said that. Because only 12 states had someone sign the Constitution. Sorry, Rhode Island, didn't care to participate. Furthermore, the Articles of Association after the first Continental Congress, that also had 12. Georgia didn't show up to that one. So I can understand where you're coming from on those questions. It's a little bit more tricky than it seems at first. Here's another tricky question. Or is it? Who knows? On what date was the Declaration of Independence signed? What day was it signed? One went later. Right. Okay. So, Jeremy, I'm not sure if you're responding to the former question or the current question. I will say the Declaration does end up having people kind of trickle in over the years, signing it afterward. But the question is, what date did the majority of the delegates sign the Declaration? It's a little bit tricky, isn't it now? Gray Wheels, I see you there. Coming in with July 2nd, 1776. Now, July 6th, Jeremy Galloway. Okay, this question is a little more tricky. Now, I want to note real quick that the common date, obviously John Hancock signs it pretty early on. That's a pretty important, famous one. But I'm talking about the main body, when it was actually after it was engrossed, which is a question coming up. All right, I see a bunch of questions. I see July 2nd, a bunch of Julys, Troy getting it pretty right, and Cookie actually getting it entirely right. The date I'm looking for is August 2nd, 1776. The Declaration Independence was approved on July 2nd, Gray Wheels. You're right. That's the day that John Adams thought we'd be celebrating. They spent 2 days looking at the actual document, the Declaration of Independence, and cutting it apart, and much to Thomas Jefferson's dismay, cutting out about a quarter of it. And then it was approved on July 4th, and that's when John Hancock signs it, and that's really why he's famous. Not because his signature is super big, but as president of the organization, he signed all outgoing correspondence, so he signs the Declaration first, as does Charles Thompson, who was the Secretary of Congress, who was hired and paid to be there. He attested as a witness. Now, it wasn't until a month later, on August 2nd, when there was an engrossed copy where most of the delegates came out and actually signed the Declaration of Independence itself on August 2nd. That being said, there were, between the vote on independence on July 2nd and the signing of the document on August 2nd, there was a bunch of turnover in the Continental Congress because anyone who didn't vote for independence either left willingly or was replaced, and new people showed up to sign the document. Furthermore, in the weeks and months afterwards, people would trickle into the office and into the State House and say, "Hey, can I still sign that thing?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure, man. Go ahead. Throw your name on there." And arguably, Thomas McKeon, I believe it was, a year and a half after, or even more than that, like maybe even 2 years later, actually signs his name. I believe it was Thomas McKeon was the last person. Now, it's hard to determine exactly when he actually signed it, but that's the argument that's being made, is he came in years later. Maybe, no, it wasn't McKeon. He would have been there for the vote. Ooh, so it's eluding me. I'll have to look that one up. But people were trickling in for a very long time, seeing if they could still sign the Constitution. I am. You know what, Jeremy? I'm getting a little sleepy. I'm using these cards as a basis, but I've started to kind of make them my own a little bit here because that's more fun. Okay, we got a true or false. True or false? The Declaration of Independence begins with the words 7 years ago. True or false? And if you think it's false, why don't you tell me what you think it is, if you're so smart about it? Let me know. True or false? 7 years ago. The opening line of the Declaration of Independence. Colonel, welcome to the party. You can't get here and say you give up as soon as you arrive. That's not how this works. All right, we got some answers coming in. We got one. Gray Wheels saying false. All right, Gray Wheels. All right, then how does it start, Colonel? How does it start? Ooh, tough question. That's the tough part of the question, really. Is how precisely does it start? I was thinking I should probably, if this is real trivia night, I should probably have a strong beverage while I'm doing this. But I don't know. That's how people do trivia when I'm in person. And everyone's coming with false. Hi, Deborah. Thank you so much for hanging out. Okay, it is false. Whammy. This famous quote, 407 years ago, is the beginning of the Gettysburg Address. That's right, the Gettysburg Address, which Abe Lincoln didn't realize would be so famous. But what he's referencing 407 years ago, a score is 20 years. 4 is 80 years, plus 7 is 87 years before he gave the Gettysburg Address. The Declaration of Independence was signed. So he's actually referencing the Declaration in the Gettysburg Address. Of course, Colonel's right, got there. When in the course of human events is how the Declaration of Independence begins. No, Deborah, see, that's the tricky part. Everyone skips that first paragraph. The second paragraph is, we hold these truths to be self-evident, and that is the famous part. It's interesting, most famous writings of any nature, it's that first line that sticks out. These are the times that try men's souls. My name is Ishmael. 407 years ago. But the Declaration is famous for the first line of its second paragraph. That first paragraph, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which connect them to another, and to assume among the powers of the earth their separate but equal station, it is blah blah blah. We need to do this. I got almost all the way through it and forgot. Basically, the first paragraph of the Declaration is saying sometimes people need to do things, and they should tell everyone why they're doing it. And then he starts the Declaration. All right, that's all right, Colonel. No worries. Why don't we do one more before we move on to our party game over there? Who was the first to sign the Declaration? This probably should have been the first question of the day. This is a pretty easy one. I already answered it. But bonus points if you can give me the second name that I already gave you of the hired hand who attested to it as well. I feel like I'm taking a history class test. Good, that's what we're here for. But we're learning together. That's the fun part. Also, you don't get grades on this test. I guess you grade yourself internally, and you will have to live the rest of the week judging yourself. But we're having fun here. My name is Ishmael. Yes, it was a very poorly received book in its time. Moby Dick is also really long and pretty boring. Hashtag overrated. I apologize if I've offended you, Herman Melville fans. First paragraph is on the money for current times. First paragraph is on the money. Oh, for right now. Okay, well, we're not going to reference modern politics. Got a bunch of answers coming through here. We got Cookie, I want to call you Cokie. I was browsing through Cokie Roberts' Ladies of Liberty early today, and I have that on my mind. So I apologize if I slip up like that. But Cookie, Troy, Deborah, all correct. Colonel, too many answers, but I will give you the first one. It is indubitably Johnny Hands, as I like to call him, President of the Continental Congress. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the President of the Continental Congress was really only responsible for being chairman of the board. They were elected by the people in the room to make sure everyone was cool. And the only thing they really got to do was sign outgoing documentation and correspondence. So that's why John Hancock signed the Declaration of Independence. Speaking of presidents, before Mr. Washington. Whoop, well, now I'm big because I pressed the wrong button. But we're going to go back over here where I do want to go. Now that's a white screen, and that's okay because this thing slows down my computer, so I have to pop it up at the last second. But we're going to play a game together now over on this website, sporkle.com. We are going to see if we can name the presidents before Washington, a.k.a. the presidents of the Continental Congress, or after the Articles of Confederation, it's often called the Continental Association. Okay, see you, Colonel. Thanks for nothing. All right, just kidding. If you're going to be rude to me, I will throw it right back. Now, there are 17 people. Well, technically 16. Technically 15. Some of these names repeat themselves. All I need is the last name of the person. We have 5 minutes to do this. I'm a few seconds ahead of you guys, so I'm going to hit play quiz as soon as I see you. As soon as I see someone type in a name that you think may have been a president of the Continental Congress, go ahead and type that name in. And as soon as I see someone pop up, I'm going to hit play. We're going to rock through it. I think we should be able to do this fairly quickly. They have given us hints with the state that the person was from. Technically starts with the First Continental Congress, Second Continental Congress, and United States in Congress assembled, aka the Confederation Congress, aka Gray Wheels has already thrown up an answer, so I'm going to type that in. Let's see, Adams. Nope, neither John nor Sam were actually president of the Continental Congress. Colonel with a Hayward. Hayward. Nope, that's a great guess. Hayward, what is it? Thomas Hayward did sign a document. Lawrence. Yes. Henry Lawrence. John Lawrence's father was a president of the Continental Congress. Randolph. Yes. Peyton Randolph was president of the first and then again the Second Continental Congress. And then he passed away pretty suddenly, which is unfortunate for him. Lawrence, we just did. John Jay did take over for a little bit. The only New Yorker on the list. Huntington. Yes, Samuel Huntington was actually overseeing things. I didn't expect them to count his name twice, but he was overseeing the Congress when Maryland finally ratified the Articles of Confederation, making it a government. And Middleton. Yes, Henry Middleton. For 4 days, when Peyton Randolph left the First Continental Congress a few days early, but Henry Middleton had to sign a bunch of the important documents at the end there. He would not come. He would come back later to the Second Continental Congress, but he was replaced with his more radical son Arthur, who actually wanted to vote for independence, and Arthur does sign the Declaration of Independence. We just got John Jay. Like I said, all we need is the last name. So it did rock. But Cookie, that is the correct answer. Ellery, I don't believe William Ellery, he is a signer of the Declaration, but he was never actually in charge of the room. Rutledge, I don't recall. No, neither John nor Edward Rutledge were in charge. John Rutledge was amazingly important to the entirety of the American Revolution. He was from the Stamp Act Congress all the way through the Constitutional Convention, and an inaugural member of the Supreme Court. But as independence approached, Rutledge didn't vote for independence. He ran home to become the first governor of South Carolina, and his brother Edward replaced him and did sign the document. McKean yes, I think is what you're going for. Yes, Thomas McKean did run the show from Pennsylvania for a bit. St. Clair, yes, Arthur St. Clair, also from Pennsylvania, did run the show for a bit. And Mifflin, yes, Thomas Mifflin, also from Pennsylvania, did run the show for a bit. Absolutely. Those are all correct answers. We nailed Pennsylvania all in a row there. We're looking for a few people from Maryland. Oh, someone from Jersey whose name always comes up. He's always one of the last people in our big finale thing that we do that I bring up, but doesn't. We always get him at the end because I reference him as New Jersey's president of the Continental Congress. Let's see, Lee. Yes, Richard Henry Lee did certainly serve for a pretty substantial amount of time, easy for me to say. Gorham. Yes, Nathaniel Gorham. That's one of the reasons he ends up being elected as chairman of the Committee of the Whole at the Constitutional Convention. Yes, Cyrus Griffin, the final president before George Washington, overseeing the transition to the Constitution. Cookie, throw me out a question. I'm happy to answer it. I will say I might be distracted for the next minute 40. Lee, we just got Lee in there. Hanson. Yes, John Hanson. From Maryland. And Hanson's one of the people who really pushed for Maryland to finally ratify the Articles of Confederation and turn it into a government, which seems to be what gives him the edge a little bit later, getting pushed up to become president of the Congress. Boudinot, yes. Elias Boudinot or Elias Boudinot? Elias? Elias. I think it's Elias. Yeah. I heard in Hamilton that everything was legal in Jersey. Is that true? No. You know what definitely wasn't legal in Jersey is dueling. Hanson, we just got Hanson up there, Deborah, but that's absolutely correct guess. We're looking for 2 more people in the next minute. Someone from Massachusetts. Someone we need to get who we've already discussed today, and I think was the answer to the last question that we just had. So definitely someone throw that correct name back out here. Again, we just discussed him. And then South Carolina. Reed? No. No. We just in our declaration questions, his name kept coming up. Someone throw that up. Don't make me type it in for you. Someone get it. And South Carolina, I am drawing a blank on because I'm so distracted with like arguably the easiest name on this list. Hancock. There it is. There it is. You got it, Colonel. Now, South Carolina, we already got Lawrence. And I'm out of time. I am out of time. I know I'm a little bit ahead of you guys. David Ramsey. That's right. That's right. I always forget about him. I always forget about David Ramsey. He ends up being more important to me as one of the early historians of the American Revolution. And he has like a really weird death. He's like a doctor, and he goes to like help a guy who's hurt, and that guy stabs him. I don't remember exactly the details, but he has a very strange death, like decades later. Alrighty then. Well, that was certainly fun. We are going to bounce over here. I do want to answer Cookie's question. No, everything was not legal in New Jersey. They had laws and a constitution. That seems to be more of a modern joke. I do know the line you're referencing in Hamilton. That seems to be more of a modern joke. Dueling was illegal in New Jersey. That's why these guys from New York snuck across the river to New Jersey, had a duel, and then took a boat back to see the doctor in New York, and then couldn't really go back to New Jersey for a while because they had committed crimes there, dueling. From Congress to Money Guru. Troy, I'm not entirely sure which gentleman you're referencing there, but I'm with you. Let's do another rock and roll. Yeah, there's Hancock. I would have been real unhappy if we missed that. I almost missed it myself. Going back to the Declaration. Who engrossed the Declaration of Independence? So the word is engrossed. Engrossed basically means make a fancy copy. Thomas Jefferson's penmanship was fine, just fine, but they handed the Declaration off to another person who was known to have very good penmanship to engross it, and then that's the picture we know today. When you think of a picture of the Declaration of Independence, you see a picture of the Declaration of Independence. You are seeing the engrossed copy that they all would sign on August 2nd. But whose penmanship is that? David Ramsey. Am I thinking of the wrong Ramsey? I might be thinking of his brother. All right, I'll look that up in a second. We'll come back to David Ramsey at the end of this. Most overrated founding. Oh, you may have redacted it, Gray Wheels, but I certainly saw what you said. Franklin, I would not call him an overrated founding father, though. As I've hinted at, my Founding Fathers fantasy draft listings next week, his number may have changed this year for the first time in several years. All right. Okay, we got some great guesses here. Nick, welcome to the party. Yes. So, it was Timothy Matlack. Great. Deborah, you got it. Cookie, you got it. I can see why you'd say Charles Thompson. He was the Secretary of Congress. He's the other one who signed with John Hancock to attest the document. He would be there the whole time. John Dunlap is the first person who printed the Declaration of Independence. So they wrote the Declaration of Independence. They finalized it. They gave it to John Dunlap, who ran down the street and was up all night printing it with like Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson coming in to look over his shoulder, sent it back, and that's the copy that John Hancock signs. And the Dunlap broadsides are considered the first copies of the Declaration of Independence. But then one of the Dunlap broadsides went to Timothy Matlack, who spent the time to write it like that. Nick, as for Gouverneur Morris, he is the person who wrote the United States Constitution as opposed to the Declaration of Independence. What's interesting about that is Morris not only he was in charge of the Committee of Style that wrote it, but it's his penmanship that stuck around. I guess says a lot about Jefferson. They wouldn't sign his original copy. Although, to be fair, with the Declaration of Independence, his original copy had a bunch of lines crossed out of it because Continental Congress voted to remove things like blaming the king for slavery. which is really interesting and kind of hard to. It's kind of a hard sell, to blame the current king for something that had been happening for 250 years or I guess 170 years is a stretch. Let's see. Yeah, good job, Dara. That's right. Um, Matlack was the assistant of. Okay, fair. That's true. That's true. Matlack did work with Charles Thompson. Thank you, Colonel, for pointing that out. That almost eluded me. That makes sense as to why Matlack was known in Congress. Although, to be fair, he was one of the wealthy men of Philadelphia. So the wealthy men of Philadelphia all knew of each other. All right, that's a fun question. I'm glad I changed that because the original question was who wrote the original draft of the Declaration of Independence, and we all know Thomas Jefferson did that, so that would not have been as much fun. Okay, speaking of the Declaration, all Americans have an unalienable right to what three things? Troy, I wonder if Jefferson's copy still exists. I know his rough draft still exists. He drafted this in, I think it's Madam House's. I think he was staying with in a woman named House. He spends a while living in. There's an inn there run by a woman named House, so he would have stayed in the house. I don't recall if that's where he stayed this time or if that's where he stayed. I know he stays there in 80s when he comes back after his wife passes away. But I know his rough drafts still exist for sure. They're really interesting. You should check them out because there's a whole a quarter of the original document was edited out. There's some fun stuff in there. Maybe we'll do a read along one day of that. So the copy we call the original was the original we have been had. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of propaganda back then. We have to learn to deal with that. I do see a lot of correct answers coming in here. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are the three things, the unalienable rights, no matter how many times in my life I keep saying inalienable. It's stuck in my head and I can't get rid of it, which is super embarrassing considering all the time I spend talking about it. But yeah, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness, the common phrase at the time was life, liberty, and property, which came from John Locke. And that's what most of the founders would reference. Even when Jefferson was writing the Declaration of Independence, he had copies of several things, including John Locke's work and George Mason's rights of Virginia Bill of Rights. I forget the exact title of it, where they all say life, liberty, and property. And the really amazing thing about the Declaration of Independence, the really the world-changing thing is the pursuit of happiness. Is that it's not about ownership of things. It's about finding enjoyment in your life, using your liberty to enjoy your life and pursue happiness in whatever direction you feel is best for you. So, reflect on that how you will. Pretty much everyone got it right, which I am very happy about. So, we're going to talk about the American flag for a tidbit here. How many stripes were on the original American flag? I'm going to take a sip of water because all this talking got me thirsty. Nope. Anyone just popping in, we're playing for fun, so you can't lose. Don't worry about missing out on points. Anyone who is already here, if you guys want to hit a like over there, that's the best thing in the world you can do, because if you hit like, more people see, because the algorithm, and we can learn with more people together. I just realized, Nick, you said something I did not reference. Let's see. Thomas got nothing on William Jackson. Boo. William Jackson. Boo. We know almost nothing about the debates I shouldn't say almost nothing. We know very little about the debates at the Constitutional Convention because William Jackson pales in comparison as a secretary to Charles Thompson. I heard Hamilton was the only founding father who didn't own slaves. Cookie, no, that's not entirely true. All right, we got a bunch of answers coming in. Then I am going to respond to that after I acknowledge, yeah, you guys got it right. 13. It's been just like now. It's always been 13. It's a little bit of a trick question. I thought it was fun. Hamilton, oh, I believe there are plenty of more who didn't, to be honest. Hamilton musical isn't 100% accurate. Yeah, there were a bunch of American founders who didn't own slaves. In the North, even the ones who did own slaves generally only with a grain of salt, of course, like owning any human being, we reflect on is terrible now. Uh, but many in the North would only have one or two slaves who worked in their house and were part of their families, essentially, and many of them did go on to free their own slaves. Colonel, I do see that. Joseph Warren did not. I don't. Gray Wheels, I think you're right. I don't believe John Adams, the Adams family at large, owned slaves at any point. I will say there has been research. A friend of mine, Jesse Serfilippi, actually came out with a paper a few years ago regarding Hamilton. Looks like he did at some point purchase a slave. Seems to have been for someone else. That weirdly like caused controversy like years later, which was surprising to me, because you know the world we live in, someone had to get mad at something. Some people were very upset that she was accusing Hamilton of buying a slave. Truth is, she works at the Schuyler Mansion and keeps Hamilton family history alive. Like that's what she does with her life. And she stumbled onto something interesting, and that's what you do when you're historians do. You research, and if you find something that no one else has found before, that's exciting, and you tell the world about it, even if it's a blemish on Hamilton's character. It's still exciting to find something like that, and unfortunately, people dug in their heels and couldn't accept it. So I'm not going to get too into the controversy. Like I don't really like talking about modern politics. I'm being very careful with my language right now, but yeah. Let's see. Jason, the flag had 15 stripes in the early 1800s. Star Spangled Banner had 15. Straw purchase. Wait. A flag had 15 stripes? Troy, I'm not sure what you're referencing. I believe you. I tell you what. After we get through trivia, why don't we go back and I'll go on the internet here together and we'll see if we can find one of those flags. Is it a navy? It's a navy flag, perhaps. Colonel Sam Adams inherited one from his wife. He refused originally, but took it. Right. Okay, that makes sense. Uh, that makes sense, Colonel. I feel like I've run into that story also about Sam Adams. Um, I thought I read somewhere that Hamilton had two slaves. See, that I don't know of. His father-in-law had a lot, and his spouse would have been accustomed to that kind of lifestyle. But once you move to New York City, like New York City slavery after the Revolution just really doesn't come back. All the British people who had slaves left with their slaves. All the Americans who returned had nothing. So slavery just never really comes around. It's not completely gone until years later when Hamilton, to his credit, works with John Jay, Robert, last name redacted, Robert Troop, a whole group of American founders in New York go through the process with the New York Manumission Society of eliminating slavery in New York State. Even if he did have one or two, you can at least be resigned to the fact that they helped to eliminate the practice entirely. So there's that. Doesn't, of course, justify the lives people lived in servitude, but what's really interesting about the American Revolution is times were changing, and people were realizing that certain things were wrong, and they had the opportunity to change them, and in many places they did. Troy, I am not familiar with that. I do believe the first flag had 13 stripes. I would assume the 15 stripe flag is either because they added Kentucky and Vermont, and we're like, okay, maybe we add... No, because the original... I almost gave away the next question. Let's do the next question before we get too deep into that. Who designed the American flag? I was about to reference this person just now, talking about the stripes, and almost gave it away. So, who designed the American flag? Or at least is given credit for it. I will tell a little bit of a story once we talk about it in a second. It appears to be ahead of you, although, to be fair, I think the feed, I like have my stuff set up right here in front of me, and then I also have YouTube stuff over here. And what it's showing me over here, I think, is behind what you're actually seeing, which is behind what I'm actually doing. Gray wheels, Washington. Interesting answer. Let's see if we have people agreeing with you. I'm gonna take a sip of water because all this chatting. Colonel, I found the original letter of Paul Revere's own words of the Midnight Ride. He was charming and had exceptional handwriting for a laborer. Uh, Colonel, I think he would have called himself an artisan or a mechanic, because there are levels of society, and he would have been a little bit embarrassed to be considered a laborer, despite not being one of the elites. There were a lot of levels of society. I'm obviously not criticizing you. That's a really interesting story. It does make sense that he would have had good handwriting. That's probably one of the reasons he was able to fly in certain circles. All right, we've got Washington, we've got Hopkinson, we've got Betsy Ross, we've got Ohioan Robert G. Heft. Cookie, I don't know what you're referencing. I don't know if you made up that name or not. I want to know more about Robert G. Heft for sure. The answer is Francis Hopkinson. Way to go, Nick. Nailed it. Now, I see why you would say Betsy. I understand why you said George Washington. George Washington had input on certain earlier flags, especially the Washington's headquarter flag. Betsy Ross was actually the card wanted me to ask you. She wanted her to be the answer, and she's not. Betsy. I'll get back to Betsy Ross, but Francis Hopkinson was the first. He was a member of the Continental Congress. He was the artist of the Continental Congress. He wrote songs. He designed a whole bunch of stuff. He liked to paint and write poetry. So when they looked around the room and said, "Who needs to design the flag?" Let's give it to Franny over here. Now, he didn't actually make the flag. He just designed what it would consist of, including 13 stripes, one for each state, and then the stars for 13 stripes, one for each original colony, and then stars, one for each state. Now, Betsy Ross. Side note: Francis Hopkinson actually wanted to get paid in casks of wine for his work. The Continental Congress ended up deciding, no, we're not going to pay you. You're already being paid from your state as a delegate to the Continental Congress. So doing the job you're already paid for does not entitle you to free wine, essentially. Now, Betsy Ross, unfortunately, probably she was a seamstress in Philadelphia, and she was a relative of George Ross, who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. George Washington certainly knew of her, and she certainly designed flags. Unfortunately, the story of her designing the first American flag comes around about 100 years after she dies from one of her grandchildren. In 1870s, as the first centennial is approaching, you see a lot of people writing biographies of the grandparents and telling stories of their grandparents. And one of her grandkids says she designed the first flag. Did she design the first flag? We will never know who actually sewed the first flag. What we do know is that Francis Hopkinson designed the flag, and Betsy Ross is one of many people in Philadelphia who started sewing flags at about the same time. Betsy Ross had already also sewn and designed several Navy flags, including for Pennsylvania's State Navy, which was like 2 or 3 ships. So she's very important. She has at least 2, if not 3. I think 2 of her husbands died fighting in the war. So she has a little bit of a tragic life supporting the American Revolution. She certainly was a patriot. And it breaks my heart to tell the truth about Betsy Ross, like the truth about Betsy Ross and the flag. So sorry, guys, to break that news to you, but she was a great patriot who sewed many flags for the Americans, just not the first flag. As I'm reading through this, if anyone's watching hasn't hit like yet, make sure you hit like so more people can find out about trivia and all the American Revolution we talk about here, and we can learn with more people together. So, silversmithing is hard work. Yes, it was certainly manual labor, though Paul Revere ends up being one of the early, like, I don't want to say industrialists, but you got to keep in mind the Industrial Revolution is onsetting as the American Revolutionary War is ending. And Paul Revere is one of the first people to start making casts of his metalwork. So he, at the time, if something broke, okay, you had to make an entirely new screw that fits. he started making molds so that kind of not quite assembly line style, but if everything he sold could fit together kind of interchangeably, and therefore he started hiring other people to work at his job. At a time when most silversmiths were just the one guy doing it, he started hiring other silversmiths to work for him. Paul Revere is not given a lot of credit for his role in early Industrial Revolution, Massachusetts. Need to interview Colonel, get the story straight. All right, well, it sounds like I need to interview you about the 15 stripes also. Maybe, you know what, if you want to do that on the Discord, we could probably have hangouts like that on the Discord channel. By the way, if you guys want to join the Discord conversation, link in the description below. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's like social media, but it's just founder of the day. It's just us talking about the American Revolution. Robert G. Heft designed the modern flag. Interesting. I will definitely have to look into him. Colonel, wasn't it a kid who originally got a failing grade and then it was adopted by the U.S. and that teacher changed the grade real quick? Oh, are you talking about the Robert G. Heft thing? That I don't know anything about it. I think so. I think Nick and who was it? Was Deborah? I forget who brought up G have Cookie. I think Nick and Cookie. I think Colonel's asking you a question. So if you could answer that question for me. I don't know a lot about early 1900s Ohio. I know in 1984 Ohio I was born, and then my parents relocated me very quickly back to New York. Any hoozle. We got two more questions before our big game at the end. Who is usually credited with sewing the first American flag? Oh. Whoopsie daisy. This question says, who's been paying attention? I'll let some of you answer this. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. For the Vietnam Memorial, really? The modern American flag? There's no way it was designed for the Vietnam Memorial. The modern American flag with 50 stars. Oh, are you referencing the 50-star American flag? I see. That wouldn't have come around until 1959 or later. Probably before Vietnam, but no, maybe about the time Vietnam is starting, because Alaska and Hawaii don't actually join the Union until 1959. And interestingly, this current American flag we have now is the longest serving American flag in American history. Also interestingly, and I like to rub this into my father, who was born in 1957, he was born under a different flag than I was. Because, again, 2 years later, Alaska and Hawaii would become states. Yes, Deborah and Gray, you have been paying attention. Thank you for paying attention. It is Betsy Ross. Whoopsie daisy, I gave that one away. Worst question of the year. All right, let's do our final question before we play our big game. In 1777, the Continental Congress added 13 stars to the flag. What did they replace? So when 1777, there were a bunch of flags being flown around. They all looked fairly, I guess they didn't all look fairly similar, but a lot of them looked fairly similar. And then they created the first flag, and then they added this new idea of adding the 13 stars. 1 star for every state. That would, of course, change as states were added to the Union, which they assumed would happen. Vermont was already begging to be added, and Kentucky was certainly having grumblings of becoming a state, even at this point. So, they knew the stars would increase. But what was there before they added the stars? What did Francis Hopkinson change? Squeaky voice, whoopsie daisy. Let's see, we got some things coming in. Elizabeth Betsy Ross, yes, fair enough. I gave the answer to this question. Yeah, we all kind of, I know, and then I ran with it. Colonel. What did the stars replace? It's not as tricky as you might think, but you also need to know the name of it. You don't have to redact it. I already read it out loud. Fair enough. I like that they have the redaction feature. I don't like that it tells me that you've redacted it. Oh, Nick, no. Kid entered a competition to design a memorial for the soldiers for Vietnam. The kid got a C, but the president and Congress chose that design. I feel like it says more about the president and Congress in the, I guess, what is that? Was it the 70s when they built that memorial? I guess it says more about the president and Congress than it does about the teacher. That's just, again, I'm trying to avoid modern politics as much as I can on this channel. Although, you know what? Last week we did bring up, I was supposed to talk about, what was it, like the internal revenue, not like the 17th Amendment. I think we were going to talk about last week. The creature from Jekyll Island. I remember uttering that phrase and saying, I probably shouldn't bring this up. And I'm waiting on it. And no one's answering this question, which I find very fascinating. I'm going to give you guys another few seconds. And then I will reveal what the 13 stars in place. This is the Bennington flag, and you can't really see much because I'm in a small square, but this part, the blue part. The blue part. What was there before the stars? Of course, this is a Bennington flag. This one's actually wrong because it has white on the bottom and the top instead of red on the bottom and the top. Appeal to Heaven flag. So the Appeal to Heaven flag was specifically a I believe it was specific New Hampshire or Massachusetts or Maine. Was it Maine? And that's why I'm confusing him. Somewhere in northern New England was the Appeal to Heaven flag. But that's an entire flag as opposed to just the blue section. And Gray Wheel's coming through with the correct answer. The Union Jack, which essentially is the British flag. It used to just have the Union Jack up there. You know what? I'm going to pull it up. Union Jack flag. I will pull it up and we'll pop up over here so we can take a look real quick. This is the Union Jack. It used to be in the corner. Union Jack. Let's do American flag. Images. Let's see. Do they even have this one right here? Okay. Where did it go? That is what the flag originally looked like. Hold on, let's count the stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sorry, Troy. I thought it would work. I thought it would work. I tried to count them for you. That is the wrong screen. Whoopsie daisy. We're looking for trivia. I got too many screens to choose from over here. Okay, guys. This is a lot of fun. They're all rebellious flags. The 76 flag, Deborah, this is the Bennington flag, though it most likely is actually one of the first memorabilia flags. It probably wasn't created until the early 1800s, about the War of 1812, to celebrate American Revolution and the success of that revolution going into the War of 1812. It's kind of like a screw-Britain flag. Now, it's also sometimes called the Fillmore flag, named after Millard Fillmore's grandfather, future President Millard Fillmore, who apparently had this flag at the Battle of Bennington and then brought it home to not far from where I live, closest president to birthplace to where I live. Fun fact. But that is a story. So probably not true. Now, guys, how are we doing? We're having fun? Great. We got work to do. We are going to play our weekly game. If you are new here, what we're about to do is name 243 American founders in 20 minutes, which we've successfully done on several occasions now, but we want to beat our time. Additionally, it's not just any American founder. It is the legislative branch. So, unfortunately, it's not every Continental Congressman, but it's close. Anyone who was at the first Continental Congress, anyone who signed the Declaration of Independence, anyone who signed the Articles of Confederation, anyone who went to the Constitutional Convention. Additionally, anyone who was an inaugural member of the United States House of Representatives or the United States Senate. So, anyone who signed anything important and anyone who was a member of the first government in the legislative branch. We are looking for those names. I know most of you have played here at least once. I am ready to go when you are. I am going to wait as soon as I see someone, because I'm a few seconds ahead of you guys. So as soon as I see someone say a name, I am going to type that name in and just start rocking through it. Hopefully my wrists don't hurt too poorly by the time we're done. And it's better to say a name twice than not at all. So if you think of a name but you're not sure if someone said it, say it again. That's fine. Granted, we get it through it quicker if we don't repeat names, but we always repeat at least a handful of names. So again, I'm ready when you are. I recommend starting with the big six. I'm not going to name them right now because that's giving away the answer, but the big six is what I reference, the founding fathers that we all usually think of. That, if you talk to a 5-year-old, name 6 founding fathers, those names. Those are the big six because we don't want to forget them. All right, sip of water, and names are coming in, and we're already skipping some of the big six. We're going right to the heart of it, huh? We got Monroe. Good start, Colonel. Adams. Hancock. Washington. Rutledge. Mifflin. Now we got Adams and Washington. Those are some of the big six. Franklin, if I can spell it right. Jefferson. Those are some big six. That's 4 of them. We just got Hancock. Hamilton is the 5th one. And who is the 6th big six is what we're waiting on. Or just go for it. You guys are, unless the feed's coming through slow. And I'm pretty far ahead of you guys. I'm just realizing. So this is me stalling. Oh, right. Gary. Hayward. Nice. We are still missing one of the big six. Sinixon. Klingon. Here they come. Folsom. All right. Waiting on you. Waiting on you guys. Taking your time today. I like it. Stockton. Livermore. Pendleton. Although it might just be YouTube giving me your answers very slowly. Who knows? Madison. There it is, Colonel. We would have been real unhappy if we missed James Madison. Real unhappy. Ash. Are there any other big names we're thinking? There are some who are just on the edge of the big six. There are actually probably 9, maybe 10 people I consider the big six. I coined the term big six years ago when I first started this channel. And since then, I've realized that there are more than just 6. But I'm sticking with it. Gwinnett. Did I get him already? Must have. Lee. That's a bunch of right answers. Floyd. Crane. Haka. Payne. Morris. Thank you. Lee. We just got. Penn. All right. Stone. Trumbull. Trumbull, not Bell. Like the animal, not the ding ding dong. Ingersoll. Lawrence. I think it's 2 correct answers. Oh, no, just the one. Hall. I guess John Lawrence never really served in Congress. Morton Salt. Sherman. I just really don't have Ashley here. Ashley usually does the runs for us of like the Worths and the similar names. That's okay. Muhlenberg. Strong. Muhlenberg is 2. Strong is, I think, 1. Conti. Benjamin Conti. Very cute. Okay. We're taking our time. I can't tell if you guys are just really thinking about it. Orsini. Or if it's just coming through slowly on my end. Vining. Also, there is one fly that's entered the room with me. It's really angry. I'm not paying attention to it. St. Clair. Wadsworth. All right. We got any more Worths, Colonel? And anyone else who's watching, I've noticed a few of you have stopped commenting. Feel free to guess whatever name you like. You probably know more than you might realize. As I said, don't worry. If you think someone else said it, say it anyway. Langworthy. To be fair, several of the people playing, for you, those of you who are fairly new, several of the people playing have been doing this for, almost a year now. So don't be bashful that they know a handful more names than you might. That's why we do this, is to learn. We did Sherman already. See, I even forget things. Johnson, Johnston, Witherspoon, absolutely. Adams, I think we did Adams. Bartlett, we have not done. Josiah Bartlett. Galloway, that's right. Jeremy Galloway was here earlier today. I don't know if he left, but he's an ancestor of that very Galloway. A loyalist, imagine that. Loyalists count as founders. if they were there at the right time. Hewitt. That's right. We just did use, didn't we? Hugh. I thought Hewitt was right. Unless there's a different way to spell it. Randolph, I think, is 2. That's right. Dickinson. If I spell it right. Deborah Dickinson. Dickinson. But I put it in. I knew what you meant. Morris, we already did. So Robert Morris is pretty close to one of those big 6, and John Dickinson is pretty close to one of those big 6. Hopkinson. I had to do them in the opposite order, Troy, because the game would have done it for me. Gary. Bloodworth. What's a Bloodworth? Worth spelling it right. Timothy Bloodworth, one of the people who really... Henry, absolutely. Mick Henry, also absolutely. Timothy Bloodworth, one of the people from North Carolina who really tried to halt the Articles of Confederation, the United States Constitution from happening. Hart, DeHart, Thompson, absolutely Gray. Well played. Good Hugh. Pinckney is at least 2, that's right. Pinckney brothers would run for president or vice president in most of the first presidential elections. Rodney. Again, Troy, you know I only need the last name. Troy, you've been at this long enough. Take your time spelling out the first name. Especially with that first name, I always spell Caesar wrong. Payne. Again, Troy. Well, we got Payne. Troy. I don't need the Robert Treat in there. You're slowing yourself down. Mason. Especially because Payne could be an answer, more than one correct answer. So to specify it to one person, well, you're gonna leave out someone else. I think there is only one Payne that actually works on this list. Thomas Paine never actually served in the Congress. Did I do Mason? Yeah, did it? Sullivan, yes. John Sullivan, absolutely. Reed with an A. Do you spell it differently, maybe? Van Dyke, yes. Few. Smith, absolutely. Baldwin. All right, now we're cooking. Again, we got Reed with an A. Carol. 2 L's in Carol, Deborah, but absolutely correct. See, that I'll give you. But I can't give you the other Reed unless I see you spell it without the A. I'm really making it easy for you. Penn, must have gotten. Gorham, huge founder. King, another huge founder. Lansing, again, we only got one Reed. McHenry, I think we actually got. That's okay. Better to say it twice than not at all. Yates, Robbie Yates. Hart, must have gotten Hart. Gilman. Excuse me. You know, someone, Van Rensselaer. Man, I can't even spell what I'm looking at. Oh, I haven't even. Lear. Okay, got it. Lynch. That's 2. Tommy and his dad both sign important documents. Yeah, someone commented on one of my old Robert Yates videos today. It was like, hey, things, blah, blah, blah. Said something about, asked me, like, was the only reason that New York had power? And I went, actually, he was probably Brutus. So I've done 20-something videos on Brutus, and I've probably covered more about Robert Yates's political thought than anyone else. Go ahead and watch back. Let's see. Drayton, yes. There's the other Reed. Thank you, Deborah. Chase, Dayton, Hudson, Otis. Shouldn't be on this list, but he is. Doesn't technically fit the qualifications any more than Dr. Joseph Warren, but for some reason Otis is here because he was the biggest rabble-rouser in old-timey Boston. Langdon. Did we do Langdon? We did not. Dean. Silas. Hosmer. Well played. Dayton. Oh, I think we got that. Huntington. Nice. Okay, we're about halfway. Not quite halfway through. Time. Not quite halfway through the names. Sturgis. Absolutely. Keep them coming. If it helps you, maybe think of some Constitution signers, Declaration signers. Those are always ones we want to get. Wadsworth. Did we get Wadsworth? We did. I think there's still some Worths that we haven't gotten, though. Caswell. Livingston. Absolutely. That's 2. Only 2, surprisingly. Cadwallader, which people tell me I mispronounce, but that's what it looks like to me. Wolcott. Don't you know it's insane? Okay. Williams. Oh, okay. Is there Williams a little more at the end there? You remember that? A little extra? A little extra? Macomb. That's a great guess. That's not a correct answer, but that is a fantastic guess. Wolcott we just did. Don't you know it's insane? Roots? Huh. Why is it? Press some buttons. Roots? No. That's the one. Blount, which I understand is pronounced blunt. I've been corrected enough times. Too late. I've made public videos about him on several occasions. Sykes? No, that's another good guess, Grey Wheels, though. It's a really good guess. Alexander Macomb is actually a fantastic guess. Marchand, I believe, is 2. There it is, Deborah. William, son. Thank you for getting the hint. Bland is probably 2. Butler, Pierce. Butler, comma, Pierce. All right. All right. We're about halfway through both the time and the names. Harvey, Davy, Houston. I'm Housen. All right. Robert, Joe. Nice. All right. I'll scroll through a little bit. Maybe see if we can find us some hints. We got a declaration signer from Virginia. Braxton. That's probably him. Oh, that's a different declaration signer from Virginia. Langworthy. Did we do Langworthy? I guess we did. We got a bunch of the worlds. Nelson. Okay. Well, that's a different declaration signer from Virginia. We need a declaration signer from Virginia who was at the Constitutional Convention and chose not to sign the Constitution. This is one of the big names of the Revolution. We gotta get this one. I used to pronounce that one wrong too. Parker. Zubley. No, that's a good guess, Troy. I can't remember the first name. Is it Nathan Zubley? Grayson. There it is. Great, that one was yours. Harrison. There he is. Benny Harris. Few. Oh, must have gotten View. Walker. Did not get Rutledge. I think we got Rutledge, yeah. Really important South Carolina family. Okay, we've got Dr. Rush. Is it important? McClurg. There it is. That's a Constitution delegate who did not sign the Constitution. But there's one of the guys from Virginia who didn't sign the Constitution who also did sign the Declaration. Moore. Coles. Paco. Oh, they're coming in hot now. Oh, we got Paco. Page. Giles. Oh, Colonel, you and Nick are on coming out with exactly the same names. Well, I hope we got Washington Deborah at this point. Gilman, I think we did. I love it when you guys get on the same page like that and they're like sending all the same answers at once. Because you're not overlapping. You're just literally doing it at the same time. Rhodes. I was just about to give that hint. Tileman. It's Tillman, but that's how I hope. There it is, Nick. George Wythe signed the Declaration, but left the Constitutional Convention. He actually didn't refuse to sign. He left a few weeks early for family reasons. Bland, we got right in front of me. I see it. Bedford. All right, now we're starting to fill it out. We still have some declaration signers from Pennsylvania. Bedford, did we just do that? Yeah. Gunn, yes. Goldsboro is a great name. King, I think we got King. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other hints to give. We got some loyalists. Wilson, there's an important one. Thompson. I guess we did Thompson. Okay, great. White, yes. Ward, yes. Biddle, yes. Let's see. Who else we got? We got a declaration signer from PA. We got a declaration and Constitution signer from Pennsylvania. Okay, we just did Biddle, but it's Humphreys, Nick. There's an S at the end. That's part of the name. Ross, Whipple, one of my favorites. Win, Coop, Clymer. There he is. St. Clair, I think we did. There's no E at the end. Smith, I think we got Smith. All right, now we're starting to get along. We got another declaration signer from Pennsylvania. We got a Constitutional Convention delegates from Virginia. Scott is an answer. Heister. Taylor. That's right. I have to say, maybe throw out some football player names if you're stuck. Is surprisingly helpful. A lot of quarterbacks have the same name. Winnett. Gunn, I think we got. Wingate, I don't remember doing. Fitzsimmons. Oh, did that work? Fitzsimmons. There he is. Wingate work? Yeah, it did. Okay. Cadwallader, we did, because I remember not pronouncing it right. Griffin. Oh, Griffin's too. I didn't even realize that. Hartley. Crane. Scott, we just did. Oh, Crane, we must have gotten. Brown. Maclay. Sherman. I think we got Sherman, but is there a Sherman? Maybe? Klingon, I think we got. Everyone loves that name. Dayton. We did get. That is the correct answer, but we did get it. Dalton. And Anthony Dalton? Or not Anthony. What is the quarterback's name? I know there's a quarterback with that name. I can't think. Rodney, I think we did do earlier. Bannister, absolutely. Okay, we need one more Constitutional Convention delegate from Virginia. Pretty much done with PA. Okay, let's see. We got Leonard and Chase. We did Chase. All right. Ooh, New York is empty. Oh, name me some New York. Sedgwick. That's Massachusetts. That's the right answer. Fell. No, that's a good guess though. Pack, I think we did. Lovell. Kinsey. Dwayne. James Dwayne is tomorrow's founder. I already shot the video for it. So, well, good one, Nick. You're the lucky winner. That is tomorrow's founder. Stone. Thatcher. Borum. Jay. Oh, if we forgot John Jay, we'd have to skip trivia for 3 months. Weisner. Ames. Herring. Alsop. John Jay is another one of those, like, technically not big six, but like as close as you're gonna get. Clinton. No, surprisingly, none of the Clintons make this list. They were all busy in New York. Livingston. I think we got the Livingstons. Alsop, we just did. Way to be on the same page. Lewis, absolutely. Francis Lewis. Benson. Wisner, I think we just did. Robert Yates, that name came up earlier, so yeah, we did. Dewar, yes. Dwayne, I think we just got. But I'm glad you guys are good at filling out. When I said, hey, we need New York, you guys really filled it out. We need some more First Continental Congress delegates from New York. We do pretty good. At New York here. Lewis, we just did. Sherman, there it is. Johnson, I think we did Johnson and Johnston. Hathorne, nice. Jennifer, Daniel of St. Thomas, Jennifer. Well done. Schuyler, don't want to forget the Schuyler family. They're so famous now. They're really having a moment, as Michael Troy said to me the other day. Alexander Hamilton is having a moment right now. Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, we just did Hawthorne. Nah, it's Hathorne without the W. We just got it, but that's a good. I mean, it's close. It's close enough. Sylvester. I think we did. Okay, no, we didn't. Okay, good. King. Patterson. Gadsden. The John Adams of the South. Speaking of flags, Sylvester. We just did. Clymer. I think we got. Hudson. No. Lynch. I think we got. It was 2 Thomas Lynches. Okay, Jackson. William Jackson, your favorite. He shouldn't be here. He's a hired hand. Middleton. Absolutely. That should be 2. New Jersey's a little empty. Oh, remember the guy I referenced before? The president of the Continental Congress from New Jersey. I always make that reference. It worked earlier. Spate. Tucker. I'm assuming. Yep. Grout. Nice. Colonel, you don't have to redact them. By the time you redact it, I've already seen it. Gotten past it. Partridge. Burke, especially when it's like so close. I knew you met Tucker. Burke, we got. Oh, did we get Burke? Burke. Oh no. Okay. Partridge. Okay, Grout. Some reason it stops. The cursor list disappears on me. Ingersoll. I think we did Ingersoll earlier. Burke. I'm gonna double check that one. Sumter. Did we do that? Nope. Awesome. All right. Brearley. Good one. We're a little behind. We only got a minute and a half. It's gonna be hard to get through it, but we got 200. This is not our best day in the world, but it's a good day. Huger. Kinsey. I actually like when we don't make it because we can go through and look at who we missed and see if I know who they are, because oftentimes I don't. Izzard, Eddie Izzard, Scudder, Nathaniel Scudder. I was joking. That's not Eddie Izzard. That's Ralph Izzard, who was the first minister to Tuscany. Elmer, yes. Matthews, 1T. Matthews, 1T. All right. Uh, Muhlenberg, I think we got, is it here? Yeah, we got Muhlenberg. Clark, absolutely, you guys on the same page again. What a team. What a team. Townsend, nope. Reed, nope, no I. Dayton, nope. Houston, yep. Boudin, no, there it is. Shipping, no, that's a good guess, but no shipping. The reads are R-E-E-D and R-E-A-D. So we got those. I like how you came up with a third read, though, Troy. All right, I got 8 seconds left. We'll see if I'm ahead of you guys. We'll see if anyone gets a name in. Dyer, yes. Wilson, we got. Okay. There it is. Whammy jammy. We got 211. Not the best day in the world, but not the worst. 87%. Boom goes dynamite. They certainly like us here. Let's see who we missed. So John Blair, whose information, just trying to save my, okay, thanks. John Blair, he went to the Constitutional Convention. I don't think he was on the Supreme Court. I'm remembering very little about John Blair, considering he's a Constitutional Convention delegate. Thomas Cushing, not only was he a first Continental Congress delegate, he would later be on the Supreme Court. I think he would be on the Supreme Court. I know his brother, William Cushing, was important to recognizing that slavery had been outlawed in Massachusetts based on its constitution. Isaac Lowe, I just did a video yesterday about or 2 days ago, 3 days ago about the Lowe family. You guys should have gotten that one. How dare you? I did on his brother Nicholas Lowe. Isaac Lowe was the chairman of the Committee of 100, the Revolutionary Government of New York, goes to the First Continental Congress, then becomes a loyalist because he doesn't like the Declaration of Independence. But his brother sticks around, which is cool of him. Francis Dana. Francis Dana is the first person who is sent as a minister to Russia. He goes to meet with Catherine the Great, who was around at the time. Unfortunately, Catherine the Great wants to stay out of the hostilities with England. She starts the League of Armed Neutrality with several other nations who didn't want to be involved with Britain and France's fighting anymore. And they basically said, hey, we're armed and we're ready to fight. If you attack one of us, we're all going to fight as the same army. Because teaming up was the only way they could compete. Samuel Holton, another article signer. Don't remember a lot about him, I'll be honest. John Lawrence. I usually recommend throwing this name out when you say Lawrence or Lawrence. Lawrence is a good one to throw in there. We got Jersey and South Carolina. That's pretty sweet. John Hanson, a president of the Confederation Congress. That would have been a nice one to get. John Francis Mercer. I forget a lot about him. I think, I don't know. Luther Martin. He was really important to the Continental Congress, the size of the representation. He was the one who stood up for the little states. He would also go on and be an anti-federalist. George Gale, I know nothing about at all. Oliver Ellsworth, he's a huge player in the American founding. Ellsworth had been a part of. He goes to the Constitutional Convention. He ends up going to the first Congress. He's an inaugural senator, and when James Madison is writing the Bill of Rights and trying to get that through the House of Representatives, Oliver Ellsworth is the one working on it from the United States Senate, because they had to work together to get that passed and sent out to the states for ratification. Ellsworth is also an early justice in the Supreme Court. He becomes the third Chief Justice of the United States of America. So he also helps write the Judiciary Act as a senator, because the Constitution basically just says, as far as the Justice Department goes, Congress can make up those rules when they get around to it. So Oliver Ellsworth is the one who took the lead on that, and we do have a lot of our judicial system is still residual from him. Delaware, we did bad. Thomas McKean should have gotten signer. I thought someone typed. I thought we did McKean, although that might have been from earlier today. It's always the danger with the earlier games is We feel like we already said a name, and we did, but we just didn't say it for this one. Richard Bassett, important to the Constitutional Convention. Jacob Broom, not so important, but he was there. William Hooper, signer of the Declaration. Cornelius Hartnett, article signer. Alexander Martin, another person who kind of leaves the Constitutional Convention. Benjamin Hawkins, he was gigantically important. He was one of the first superintendents of Indian affairs and negotiated pretty reasonable contracts with the Cree and the Cherokee. Many of the not southwestern, like modern United States, but Tennessee, Georgia, Kentucky area, negotiating there. John Steele, don't know much about. John Sevier was also important to early Tennessee. George Walton, an early guy from Georgia, another one of the physicians from down there. Telfair and Walton. John Walton, who signed the Articles of Confederation, was brothers with George Walton, who signed the Declaration of Independence. Matthew Thornton, a Declaration signer. John Wentworth, an Article signer. Abel Foster, don't know anything about him. That means there's another Foster down here. Don't know if they're related. Stanton and Bourne, guys I don't know a ton about. William Ellery, I thought we typed Ellery, so I'm a little bit surprised by that. Collins, related to the governor, who ends up just becoming very unpopular because Rhode Island doesn't send a delegate to the Constitutional Convention, doesn't want the Constitution. He has a relative, I'm not sure how they're related, I don't recall, but another Collins is governor of Rhode Island, and he finally says, listen, guys, we're the only ones left. We need to sign the Constitution now. So Rhode Island does, and then they promptly kick Collins out. William Pierce. Oh, no, we did Pierce Butler, but not William Pierce. Okay, got it. Ooh, motorcycle. Whoopsie. And that's that. I will pop myself up big here for the grand finale. I see some questions coming in. Ashley certainly does help. She seems to be one of the. She seems to be pretty good at this game. Ellsworth would be. You think? Oh, that's a bold prediction. You think Ellsworth's going to be top 20? It's interesting. You can go look at the past years. Every year, I've written an article about basically my top 100 founders. It's a not speculative, but it's all based on my opinion, pretty much. But what's interesting is it does change every year. In fact, as I warned, next Saturday I am going to do reveal the list, and there is going to be someone on there who is, how do you say, there's been a change to the Big Six. I'm nervous about it, but I'm doing it. So we'll look forward to that. Nick, you think Ellsworth is in the top 20? That's great. Maybe I'll put out. Maybe I'll have you guys write out your list. You submit what you think it's going to be. You can use a cheat sheet, which is my last year's list. It's not going to change that much, but it will change a little bit. That's all right. Ashley deserves a week off. Again, guys, so I have started releasing schedules each week. There is a link to the Discord down below. We started it, and I wasn't participating that much, and we've kind of lost it a little bit, but I've started posting a lot more on the Discord. I'm looking at it all the time on my cell phone now instead of just on the computer, so I really want to get that going. We could form a really cool, fun community over there. I will start posting every Monday my weekly schedule for the following week. Next week will include that big fun party on Saturday. And you guys can let me know over there if you prefer I do it like Saturday night, which I know can be busy for people, especially this time of year, or like Sunday afternoon, which I know can be busy for people because football season started. But so let me know over there what you think would be the best time to do it. Right now I'm thinking Saturday night about 8:30 Eastern time. If you guys want to put in your guesses, I mean, Nick's already guessed that Ellsworth's the top 20. That's a really good guess because Ellsworth is really important. So that was my Mr. Ed voice. For those of you old enough to get Mr. Ed jokes, I could do the top 25. I need to do more reading and research on the founders to be able to do a top 100. Well, go to founderoftheday.com and just scroll. You can scroll for probably an hour and a half because I've been writing articles there for several years. Or you can just go to my last year's article and see what you think might change, basically. Guys, with that, I think I'm all done for this particular night. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun. Trivia gets better and better every week. A bunch of the live stuff is fun. Also, I did start doing this week. We read through Federalist number 1. We did a read along with the Federalist number 1. And I am going to start probably once or twice a week doing Federalist paper read-alongs where we literally took me a while to get it this week, but I go sentence by sentence by sentence by sentence. We read the sentence, we translate it from old-timey English to modern English, and we learn together what they were saying with the Federalist Papers. So look for that. I'll probably also throw in other random readings as we go, but yeah, let me know. Gray Wheels, TJ number 1. Well, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to give it away. There is a pretty clear-cut number 1, though. It's kind of inarguable. But there might be a change pretty close. Maybe Thomas Jefferson's moving this year. Maybe he's not. Maybe it's Hamilton. Maybe it's not. But someone in that big 6. There's a little bit of a rotation going on. So look forward to that. Nick, thank you. Thanks for coming. Troy, thank you so much for your support. Speaking of which, big thanks to all Troy and all the rest of the Patriots over on Patreon who helped me pay off some of the expenses of Founder of the Day. If you did want to help, that would be amazing. I'm about to add some new things over there in the coming days. After my family leaves tomorrow, everyone's coming to town for my kids. Both have birthdays in September. We're having a big family party tomorrow. And after that, October comes in, and September, the busiest month in my year, is over. Finally over. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot. Awesome. John Jay moves up. Well, maybe. Oh, maybe. Nick, George Washington, number 1. Maybe. Maybe he's the clear-cut number 1, inarguably. Possibly. That will never change. Maybe. YouTube doesn't give notifications for the Federalist Papers videos. Oh, so those are, I'm doing those live. I'm surprised. I have learned too, what I need to start doing is setting up my live videos more than a half hour beforehand, because you get 2 heads up. You get the like, hey, half an hour heads up, and then, hey, it's going live now heads up, which I understand is helpful. Also, like I said, I have a schedule that I put on like, I put it on Instagram this week. I don't remember if I put it on the, I should probably post it to YouTube too, because I can make posts there. So I'll do it there, and then I'll do it on the Discord too. Because, you know, unfortunately, it's very hard for me to do the same schedule every single week, especially with the live videos. So that's why I'm starting to make this ahead of time schedule. You know, and it's even little things. Like sometimes Thursdays I can't. Like next week, it's going to be tough on Thursday with my wife out of town for the last time. Again, September is the worst month around here. It's the 3rd week of 4 weeks in September that my spouse is gone. It's just me with some kids, which makes it very difficult on Thursday nights to go live at the appropriate time. But I'm still trying. And once September's over, we can get a little bit back to normal. And then I also hope to start doing more interviews. I want to do another season, I guess, of interviews, especially over the winter time when I stay home and there's not as many storms that are too loud for me to like actually do anything when they're happening. You guys are awesome. Hawk the merch. Yes, thank you, Troy. Yeah. Also, if you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is to go to the shop, link below, pick out something you like, and wear a shirt. Cool. A lot of the shirts, by the way, I've taken my logo off because, you know, buying the shirts enough. Hope you think they're cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I obviously have a good time doing it. So thank you so much. I'm going to get going. We end with Peacefield. So it is trivia night. I'm going to go. Thank you 1,000 times for participating and having a fun night with me. I will be back very soon with more Revolution for you and Peacefield.